For years now, our church has had what we've called kids' church, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. That's when you get to church on Sunday morning, you drop your kids off at one building, you go to another building, you both do your own thing, you get back together, and you go somewhere to eat for lunch and go about your business. When we hired Paige to be our new kids pastor, one of her visions and one of her dreams was, let's bring the kids from kids' church into big church, and let's have them sit with their families for a while. Let's have them listen and learn and worship with their families for a while. And one of the reasons was we felt like it was an important thing to teach our children how to worship, that we would bring them with us and we would show them, model for them what it looks like to worship Jesus in a worship service. And I think we got it all wrong. I think bringing kids into worship isn't about teaching kids to worship Jesus. I think bringing kids into worship is about teaching us how to worship Jesus. Sunday morning, as I was walking around and just talking to people and standing in the auditorium while the service was beginning, I could not help but notice so many children up on their seats, raising their hands, singing, dancing, jumping up and down, smiling, closing their eyes, praying. It was clear to me that our children were worshiping. We didn't have to teach them anything. In fact, they have a lot to teach us. One day Jesus was teaching his disciples, and to make a point, right in the middle of his sermon, he sees some children and he grabs them and he puts them right in the middle of the conversation. Matthew says he called this child to him, placed the child right in the middle of them, and he said, "Truly I tell you this, unless you change," he's talking to the adults in the room, "unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." And Jesus goes on to talk about having a childlike faith. So I've just been this week just kind of meditating on and mulling over in my brain what it looks like to have a childlike faith and what it looks like for children to teach us, because we have a lot to learn from children. If we're going to be a part of God's kingdom, we need to learn to be like, we need to change and become like little children, not become childish, but become childlike in our faith. We're going to talk about what those qualities are tomorrow, but for today, my thoughts are this. Maybe we don't teach our children to worship. Maybe we should allow them to teach us what worship looks like. Maybe instead of telling our children during church to be still, we should learn from them to jump around and have some energy and get moving. Maybe instead of telling our children during worship, be quiet, we should learn from them that worship can be loud and boisterous. Maybe instead of telling our children during worship, calm down, we should learn from them to calm up and have some energy and some passion. Jesus said, unless you change and become like a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. I think Jesus is saying that children have a lot to teach us. And everywhere Jesus went, children flocked to Jesus. There was something about Jesus that was intriguing and enticing and loved by children. So we must learn what it looks like to have childlike faith. So for today, let's just ponder on that thought. What does it mean to be a human being, an adult, and yet have a faith like a child? Maybe put that in the comments and maybe find some scriptures today for you to study, to worship Jesus with, to meditate on being a child in your faith. Hope you have a great day. I hope your faith is childlike, and I hope you worship Jesus.